Africa is a continent on the rise, rich in resources, young in population, and full of potential. But beneath the surface, a quiet power is making bold moves: China. While the world sees new roads and ports built with Chinese money, a hidden military strategy is unfolding. This isn't just about business or trade deals, it's about a new kind of empire building. China has crafted an image of a friendly partner, offering development without Western-style political strings. This narrative has opened doors, giving Beijing access to resources and markets. But behind economic cooperation, China is securing strategic locations, ports and facilities that serve both commercial and military purposes. It's a patient, subtle game using debt, diplomacy, and development as tools to project power far from home. The goal? To challenge the dominance of the United States and its allies. This is a new scramble for Africa, but the rules and players have changed. The prize is not just land or resources, but control over vital shipping lanes and influence in global power struggles. As China quietly lays the foundation of its military empire, the world remains largely unaware. The question is, by the time the world wakes up, will it be too late? Africa is now a central arena in a global struggle for power, and China is playing to win. Our story begins in Djibouti, a tiny nation at the gateway to the Red Sea, a choke point for global trade. For years, Western powers dominated this strategic spot, with the US operating its largest African base here. But in 2017, China opened its first-ever overseas military base in Djibouti, just miles from the American base. This marked a dramatic shift. China, once insistent on non-interference, was now a global military player. The Chinese base is no token outpost. It's a fortified installation with a port large enough for warships and aircraft carriers. Officially, it supports anti-piracy and humanitarian missions, but its true value is strategic. From Djibouti, China can protect vital sea lanes and secure its economic interests. This base is about projecting power, not just fighting pirates. Djibouti was a test, a blueprint for future expansion. Here, China learned how to negotiate, build, and operate a foreign base. This small foothold became the Dragon's first lair, the launchpad for a continent-wide strategy. Quietly and methodically, China began spreading its influence across Africa. The game had changed. With Djibouti secured, China's gaze turned west, to the Atlantic Ocean. The US has long dominated these waters, but now China is eyeing a foothold in Equatorial Guinea, specifically the port city of Bata. China has already invested heavily here, building a deep-water port that could easily be converted for military use. A Chinese naval base on Africa's Atlantic coast would allow warships to operate directly across from the US East Coast. A stunning escalation. This isn't just about ships, it's about intelligence, surveillance, and disrupting Western dominance. The US is alarmed, sending top officials to pressure Equatorial Guinea's government. The diplomatic battle is fierce, turning this small nation into a flashpoint. China's strategy is clear: start with commercial ports, then leverage them for military access. Whether or not a base is built, China's intentions are now out in the open. The Atlantic is no longer off limits. The chess game for Africa's coast has entered a dangerous new phase. China's strategy isn't limited to high-profile bases. It's a continent-wide web of influence. In Gabon and Angola, China wraps its ambitions in the velvet glove of trade and infrastructure. Ports like Port Gentil in Gabon and Lobito in Angola are built for commerce, but their specifications far exceed commercial needs. These dual-use ports can easily accommodate Chinese naval vessels. By building infrastructure, China secures future military options, without ever calling them bases. Angola's post-war reconstruction was bankrolled by Chinese loans, creating deep economic dependency. Secretive deals may include clauses for future naval access. This subtle approach avoids Western alarm and wins African goodwill. Economic ties make it harder for nations to refuse military requests later. China's empire is built with contracts, not soldiers. Today's commercial ports could be tomorrow's naval outposts. On Africa's east coast, Tanzania is a cornerstone of China's Indian Ocean strategy. The China-Tanzania relationship dates back to the Cold War, cemented by the Tazara Railway. Today, China is upgrading Tanzania's ports, especially Dar es Salaam, and the planned megaport at Bagamoyo. These projects are about more than trade, they're about power projection. Chinese naval ships are already welcome visitors thanks to deep military ties. Tanzania is a crucial link in China's string of pearls. a network of ports from Asia to Africa. A secure foothold here protects China's sea lanes and energy imports. It also lets China monitor rivals like India and the US. By blending infrastructure investment with military cooperation, China ensures Tanzania remains a reliable partner. This isn't about one obvious base, it's about a flexible web of access and influence. Tanzania is a key anchor in China's Indian Ocean ambitions. Further south, Namibia's Walvis Bay is drawing China's attention. This deep-water harbor, long prized by foreign powers, is now the site of a massive Chinese-built container terminal. Funded by Chinese loans, the port boosts Namibia's economy, but its dual-use potential is clear. The new terminal can easily service large naval vessels. Reports suggest quiet talks about Chinese naval access or even a permanent facility. For China, Walvis Bay offers a strategic South Atlantic foothold, complementing potential bases further north. This network would let China sustain naval operations far from home, challenging Western freedom of movement. The pattern is familiar: infrastructure first, then political leverage. Even without a formal base, China has built the relationships and infrastructure it needs. Walvis Bay is another potential pearl in China's growing string. The groundwork for future military access is already laid. Viewed separately, these ports and projects might seem like isolated business deals, but step back, and a deliberate pattern emerges: a coastal necklace of Chinese access points encircling Africa. This network could allow China to control or heavily influence the sea routes connecting Europe, Asia, and the Americas. From Djibouti and Tanzania in the east to Namibia, Angola, Gabon, and Equatorial Guinea in the west, the chain is nearly complete. The goal: protect China's economic lifelines and reduce reliance on the US Navy. These ports provide logistical support for global naval operations, but the strategy goes further. These bases offer offensive potential in times of conflict. China could disrupt trade, threaten rivals, and project power deep into new regions. African nations, dependent on these ports, become more susceptible to Beijing's influence. By controlling the gateways, China gains immense leverage. The quiet construction of commercial ports is, in reality, the forging of a strategic chain. Africa's maritime destiny is being quietly reshaped. Why is China investing so much in this secret military empire? 3 pillars drive its strategy: protecting interests, projecting power, and competing with the West. First, China's vast economic interests in Africa. Mines, oil, infrastructure, and over 1 million citizens require protection. African bases give China the ability to act independently in crises without relying on others. Second, global power projection. True superpowers operate far from home. African bases transform China's navy into a global force, able to operate in the Indian and Atlantic Oceans. Third, strategic competition with the West, especially the US. By establishing a military presence in Africa, China challenges American dominance and opens a new front in global rivalry. A base in the Atlantic is a direct challenge to US security. This strategy is about leveling the playing field and reshaping the global order. China's moves are calculated, patient, and designed for long-term advantage. The fortress is rising, one port at a time. China's military expansion in Africa signals a profound shift in global power. Africa, once on the periphery, is now the main chessboard in a new great power competition. This isn't a Cold War of ideologies, but a struggle for influence, resources, and strategic position. African nations can benefit by playing China and the West against each other, but it's a risky game. The presence of rival foreign bases could increase instability and threaten sovereignty. For the West, China's strategy is a wake-up call. The era of unchallenged dominance is over. China is building a world where it can operate on equal footing with the US, far from home. Western policy must adapt, offering real partnership and respect to African nations. The pieces are still moving, and China's coastal necklace isn't yet complete, but the direction is clear. Beijing is building a secret empire, one port at a time. The world is waking up, but the stakes are rising. Africa's future and the global order may be decided on its shores. The dragon's next move will shape the world for decades to come.